Welcome to a moment of intriguing introspection beyond the realms of fear, hesitancy, and doubt. Your deep dive into the questions of the ages, shared with the courage that may challenge perception, yet joyfully teases your conscious awareness to expand into this rare and unique moment. Beyond all sense of dogma, Master Lady Kira Raa calls forward the essence of I am as you are, offering accurate and timely self-ascension revelations with supportive wisdom. This is the moment to remember that peace, love, and joy are your birthright. With a deep exhale and a smile, relax and welcome Master Lady Kira Raa.
Well, namaste, everyone, and welcome to Expanding Consciousness. I want to first thank you for being here right now, for saying yes, for staying on the planet, and to know that my heart is just beaming with love that you are here right now, in this very moment, knowing I am emergence itself, that all is emerging, and that through this emergence, we are at this extraordinary hyphened moment where the word ascension is really showing up everywhere. And it's showing up in fascinating ways because the allness is here. So everything floating in this sea of neutrality is going to bubble in this sea of allness that is now percolating with all of its extraordinary nuances. And through that breeds confusion. Confusion is designed to stop you. Confusion is designed to come in at a moment of what could be perceived by the world of density as a weakness or an opening or a wound. Confusion is sowed through the seeds of self-sabotage, and specifically the seed of doubt. Let's take a minute and breathe that in, because that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about ascension, and we're talking about why you may or others may be confused. Why is confusion here? What is that energy doing? And how is that confusion energy actually this manifested experience of doubt? When we can recognize that the absolute self-sabotage experience is fear, doubt, and hesitancy all woven together. And then when we realize that when you take that fear that is really at the thread of all self-sabotage, right? I mean, the doubt and the hesitancy are really just the aspects of the fear, and we just keep looping over and over. But when we look at that seed of fear, then add a heaping dose of anger, right? Fear. See the formula. Fear plus anger. And you know what that equals? It equals hate. And that's an extraordinary moment for collectively those that are here standing in the precipice of conscious awareness in a way we have not ever done before. This is that moment for us all to pay attention. Fear plus anger equals hate. And what's so beautiful is that in the knowing of that, in being able to really pull back, right? Be in that beautiful, non-judgmental, seventh dimensional experience, right? That field where you're standing, in the breath of your divine presence, and really gaze at that. Gaze at how those molecules are weaving. Because when you're able to gaze at how those molecules are weaving, you'll be able to see that right alongside of it, kind of like the guardrails on the highway, right? So as density is fueling this highway of fear and doubt and hesitancy, and you go around the bend on this highway and whoa, what did you just run into? A whole heap and dose of anger, right? Traffic jam. Might not have looked the way you wanted it to look. Something just happened. Some drop, just fell, something interrupted that flow. Because the highway of self-doubt, the highway of self-sabotage is all about the weaving and the focus and the flow that begins in a planetary thought body of fear that sows great doubt in the self, right? Fear causes the doubt in the self, which thereby leads to an in-breath, the hesitancy that is unable to find the balance of the out-breath. And this is where consciousness and the recognition of ascension itself comes in as that moment of reaching through all of the medicines. Remember, the 5 medicines are spinning. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to an earlier episode of this show. Go listen to this podcast over and over again. This is the library of consciousness. I'm doing this intentionally to leave this library behind. And so in that moment, as we are right now moving, as we are expanding our conscious awareness, this is why the 5 medicines are here. However, for many, and that's the fun of it, right? It's that lateral spin in the ever refining spiral that is always upward and always downward. And that in this specific year, in this specific potentiality, anchored in March. We've been in this energy since November 2023. We are on a collision course for 2 extraordinary moments in this year. And this is why the confusion energy is growing. This is why the confusion energy is just like popping. Because in that confusion, the seeds of self-sabotage get to blossom. Fear gets larger, doubt gets larger, hesitancy gets larger. Thereby that highway is congested. It's really congested. So you better stay focused, right? You're in India, right? Where we're on a 5 or a 3 lane and there's 9 lanes, right? So we're all on the highway. We're there. We are a breath from the anger. But you turn that corner, somebody collided with another, then somebody else collides, then somebody else collides. And the next thing you know, it's a multi-car pileup. And you're late for whatever was important to you. Whatever you have been in your flow of got interrupted in one way or another. And the tinderbox on all this fear is the anger. Because when you have that fear and you compound it with anger, that hate is often directed inward, thereby projecting outward, thereby sowing confusion everywhere. So take a breath and really sit back and go, you know what? I'm really glad I'm here. You know, hey, Kira, what are you talking about tonight? What's going on there? Well, here's what's going on. We are in a moment where this undeniable rebirth is now, it's happened. And we are in a moment whereby this specific experience of time, which we are time stamping in, whether you're catching this live or however many eons from now, time stamping in this moment in 2024, in this specific field of potentiality, we had arrived at a moment of conscious awareness where we had never been before. And there were many of us that started remembering, and there were many of us that were really enjoying the ride. And so in this undeniable time out of time sequencing, in this time where we're really kind of in that in-breath, out-breath, but really it's more in-breath and the out-breath is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Right now in May, April, May, June, we are in the middle of this trinity energy of time out of time sequencing. And I talked earlier about we're heading into these collision dates. Well, the next one coming up is the solstice in June. Because this June solstice is all about, it's like breaking the bond, breaking the chains. It's like saying, you know what? It's like coming out of the shell. It's literally like every single aspect. You've already rebirthed. Feel your alchemical transformation. Remember, we're in the mercury, sulfur, salt moment. We're in that tria prima. We're right there. We're bringing it all in. But as we're doing that, You're at a moment of choosing. What do you want to carry forward? And to not be in that lateral spin of the fear, doubt, and hesitancy. You're being given the gift of this moment. You found this episode. You're listening right now because you already know. You already know that there is an ascension molecule within you. You know that there is something that is really ready to blossom, to bloom, to take you where you've always known you needed to go, or ready to go and could be. Outside of the limitations and those self-perceived notions of fear, doubt, and hesitancy. So, I want to take a minute and just relax with you and invite you to bring your hands to your heart. And as you bring your hands to your heart, to just relax into, in this moment, in this very moment, right here, just right now, I trust myself. In this moment, I trust myself. Because that is the seed of conscious awareness that dispels all confusion, quiets the field, and ignites that ascension experience. It's very much the ascension renaissance that Sri and I have been talking about. Birth wrote a book about. Go grab it, please. It's still at Kindle. It's also on paperback, but go read the Ascension Renaissance. It's really important because it's a primer of the codes. It helps prime the languaging for the codes that are being delivered right now. So ascension, and I giggle because when I say the word ascension, just take a second. What do you immediately, give yourself that gift, right? Ascension. Note what comes right up. For many, it's that dogmatic overlay. It's, no, you've got to die. You've got to be dead. You've got to do whatever. And then not only do you have to resurrect, but then you have to have like this massive, you're moving on up, right? You're going way up and you're ascending, right? So let's back that up a bit. Let's unpack that a bit. And let's really look at why the seeds of confusion are frequently embedded inside of ascension. Breathing that in, I want to share one of Sri Ramka's favorite quotes from Archangel Zadkiel. And I think it's in our book, Sacred Union, The Journey Home. It was one of our earlier installments in the early days when we were still living in Boulder. And Sri asked Archangel Zadkiel about ascension and said, okay, tell me, what is ascension? And Archangel Zadkiel laughed. Archangel Zadkiel had an extraordinary sense of humor. Laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and said, Sri Ramka, we find all this talk of ascension so funny because how can you ascend back into that which you already are? And I hope you see the smile, because that's the key, is to see the exquisite smile, the transcendent recognition, the ascended essence or the presence. In a world of formed existence, these protoplasmic jumpsuits, right, that we utilize in this field that we collectively call a reality, ascension is something that is held apart. It is ascending is an energy. It's a frequency. Every time you step on an escalator going up, you are ascending, right? You are in an energy of this potentiality that experiences this sense of going up. I remember many, many, many years ago when I was in university in Washington, D.C., they had just opened the metro, so I'm really dating myself. And I remember we would all go and ride this one metro down into, I don't know if it was Crystal City or Roslyn, but these escalators were huge. They were so high and they were so long that you would actually lose your sense of, am I going up or am I lateral? And I used to really enjoy the noticing of that frequency of being able to be so acclimated to the lift that it becomes normal. Really breathe that in. Next time you're a big, huge escalator, give yourself that experience. Give that self your experience just as I'm sharing it with you right now. So you're stepping on, you can't even see the top, right? This thing is, stories tall. And you step on and you just let yourself have the ride. You let go of what you're thinking about. You let go of anything other than, where is this going to take me? And as you relax into allowing the journey to take you, you become more aware of what the journey is revealing to you. Your focus shifts. You begin to ascend your energetic field through the gift of relaxing into the propulsion of your divine mastery, informed presence. And if that's in any way challenging to follow, just listen to this podcast over and over again, because I promise you, you've got this. So what is ascension? Well, at its essence, and this is where I bow before the ascended realms that have given us the gift of self-ascension. And it was a play on words from Archangel Zadkiel. And the last time this had been brought into this planetary thought body was in the 1930s through Manly Hall, and it was not able to continue because of what happened during that period of time, which is why it had to be post-millennium to once more call forward the rapid rise in consciousness that could sustain a quantum field of time experience so that we could all line up together for the greatest potentiality to remember this moment. To know that, yeah, we're in a Groundhog Day of consciousness, but the gift is we know it. And we have that opportunity to come together outside of the judgment, outside of anything that would stop us, to say, wait a minute, we've got this. We actually really have this. We know how to do this. So as you are born into this field of potentiality, are you not ascending from the moment you were born? Your body is ascending into new forms of being. Your mind is certainly ascending into new ways and adaptations of experiencing itself. Everything around you is ascending through its own cycles of ascended, informed presence, right? This is informed presence with great beverages, right? Don't we love Ecuadorian? Oh. So as we are in that moment of ascension, there comes this natural state where we've been spinning in the medicines, right? So we're born into the physical, or 12 o'clock. We go to the 3 o'clock, which is that emotional, physical and emotional. Then that moves to the mental. Then we lift up to that spiritual, reunifying with the physical, where we frequently start that whole dive again. And it very much feels like a dive until we find ourselves needing to breathe. And then we dive and we become very acclimated to that. And we're back on that highway. But let's go back to something I mentioned earlier. Guardrails. What are the guardrails on this highway? They're conscious awareness. It's consciousness itself. It's the recognition that they're not guardrails. They're the tube. They're the circle. They're creation itself, holding and sustaining us as we're driving through. So that even when we turn that corner and that molecule that tries to bring us into the hate comes forward, there is always that opportunity to relax back into the ascended presence, lift out of judgment, and continue the journey of sustaining the field of creation. You don't have to be on the highway. You don't have to be on the highway. And so after you've kind of gone through this, right? We go through this. These are the 4 of the 5 medicines. Well, here's what makes those medicines go from a lateral spin to oh, wow, the chalice. You become the chalice itself. The eyes only lift up in the energetic experience of the ascended presence. The body illuminates. You're able to, as I have demonstrated, reshape it, grow taller, change your hairs, everything, because you become the conscious awareness informed experience. So what is ascension? At the end of the day, it is the gift of remembering all that you are, pulling in all that you are into this body of informed awareness, and to do it and be able to sustain this body of form while maintaining complete multidimensional opened awareness, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, so that the ascended presence is able to anchor. You are able to do this. That is what self-ascension is. We entered way back when Sri and I were called together by the universe. We were the ultimate arranged marriage. There's no doubt about that. We used to giggle about that because the first few years of our marriage, those of you that have read Sacred Union, The Journey Home, know he literally had to like adapt into the love space that we really then anchored for the rest of our time together, because it was such a arranged marriage. And we were both, and still are, especially as a unified field, committed to the gift of the divine that gives us this opportunity to open these channels and be here together. So in that moment in late 2002, when we were given so much information about self-ascension and shared, it was because we were collectively stretching the boundaries of our conscious receptivity. Consider that. Your conscious receptivity, your ability to be able to really stretch and go beyond and receive, is 100% limited by our own self-sabotage experiences. This is why so many talk about the free will zone. Yes, we live in a free will zone. And because of that, the strongest interference is self-inflicted and really beautifully woven. It's very much, I would say, it's like that hook. Be careful. There's hooks everywhere. Be careful. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. See the hooks. Don't take the bait. Because in this moment, the middle of those medicines, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, because spiritual is one of the medicines. It's just where the ego resides to feel better about itself. Right in the middle is consciousness. Right there. And you can discover consciousness anywhere at any time, anywhere on the wheel. All it takes is looking. It's literally, forgive the pun, a step to the left or a step to the right. It doesn't matter. It's just looking. It's giving yourself the permission and the opportunity to say, wait a minute. I know this isn't all there is. I know that this can't be my life. I know that this can't be everything. I feel it. I know it. And that's the essence of where we began as well this evening, right? Hands to heart. In this moment, I trust myself. In this moment, I trust myself. Yes. Because that is how we begin our ascended integration. When we can let go of that, which was absolutely and inherently and by design through the sacred sequence of incarnation, structured for you to arrive into. So everything that you arrived into, remember, sacred sequence of incarnation, you chose time, where, this planet, where on the planet, everything, the parents, the name, everything was chosen so that you would absolutely have everything arranged so that you would achieve the reasons, if we use those words here, the expansion is really what it is, the expansion of consciousness that has been calling you. And congratulations, if you're here, you have absolutely arrived. Because if you have dreamed it, you've already done it. And that's the gift of learning how to navigate those dreams, of learning how to transcend and be in multidimensional space, of learning how to be the witness, witnessing the witnesser, to be the witness again. Ninth dimensional frequency. To be able to sustain within the body of form right now, multidimensional awareness through all these frequencies while absolutely navigating the body of form in the world around you. That is self-ascension. And that is why many get confused. Because you are capable of doing things that you have forgotten or consider to be crazy or are absolutely just read about in what's considered to be fiction. But the reality is that the only reason I'm alive and the only reason I will keep doing this until there is no reason for me to do it anymore. But I'm here to show you it can happen. I am the living example of this. And I invite you to come down here to Ecuador and meet me. Come kick the tires. Come learn how to do this. Come join me here at Tosa Blue Mountain. where we are an incredible opportunity for you to remember that there doesn't have to be airplanes overhead. The sky is as blue can be. The air is so sweet that many have forgotten air should smell, that can smell that way. You live in the pine trees and the eucalyptus right here nestled on the Andes Mountains, where all of the Andean condors nest above us, where San Pedro grows wild, and where the opportunity that I'm transmitting to you just through my words is to remember that magic is real. You just have to let it be. That you have the capacity to consciously ascend. It's already within you. And any sense of confusion, any sense of resistance is just coming in from those four medicines going, hey, who's in charge? Who's in charge? Who's in charge? And you know what? This is when you stand up and you take that seventh dimensional frequency and relax the judgment, where you have the courage to stand and say, I'm in charge. Consciousness. I am as you are, ready to be in all ways. You're not confused. You're just fighting with the aspects of the self that are terrified of giving way to you. What if in this moment I trust myself? I love you. Many blessings. Namaste.
Bringing a hand to your heart with a smile, soar into the gift of you and discover the Yoga of Self-Ascension at ShriandKira.com. Wisdom and clarity are your birthright. ShriandKira.com and YouTube, official Shri and Kira, are waiting for you to enjoy.